It's for a good reason. We're definitely going to learn some best practices today.
We are. So, did you get a handout already?
Yeah. Oh, I'll grab
one
that.
real quick. Okay. Thanks, Nora.
Here we go.
Very good. So my name is Scott Schneider, and I'm the owner of this tax store, and I'm just trying to help people in the community, figure out what's best for them, how to help their needs, and I set up a free seminar for your Avon representatives to make sure that when tax time comes, that you guys have done everything that you need to minimize your tax burden or maximize the refund that you want, if that's the way you go about running your budget. So, so if you guys don't have any questions, we can go ahead and get started. I'm highly interruptible, so please, if you have a question, just ask it. No reason to wait till the end. It's free conversation, so don't feel like you have to stay quiet. And you can ask questions too. It won't make me mad at all right? So, very good. So just some of the objectives that we're going to go through today is we're going to define what being self-employed truly means. And so not everybody has a full understanding of what that means, so we're going to talk about that just for a little bit. How to maintain good record keeping, which is of the utmost importance. That might be the most important thing that we talk about today. So what are qualifying deductions? Who needs to pay the self-employment tax? And how to file estimated tax payments. So yeah, if you guys don't have any questions on those things, we're going to get right into them. So being a business owner is liberating and scary and everything all tied up into one. And so we have a couple that have done it for a while, so you guys definitely understand the trials that you have to go through, but it's definitely worth it to try and work your way out of the mundane where you have to show up at 9, leave at 5, and everything's set that way. So, but you have the opportunity to make new friends, work with fashion and trends, be a stylist for some very important people, and we're here to help you so that you can concentrate on your business, and hopefully you don't have to worry about taxes so much, and that frees you up to work on increasing your client base. So, very good. So a self-employed person carries a trade or business as an independent contractor. Are you guys familiar with independent contractors? Mm-hmm. Yes, very good. And so you control or direct what will be done, how it's going to be completed, so on and so forth. So nobody can tell you when you have to be somewhere, because if they can tell you when, if they can tell you where, then you're their employee now, and you're not an independent contractor anymore. So independent means literally independent. You make the choices, and so that's where it can be liberating, but also a little bit scary, because you're like, did I make the right choice? So hopefully we can help you make sure you're making some good choices. So as I was saying earlier, record keeping might be the most important aspect of this. Oh, you're fine, no worries. It's okay. So good record keeping can get you out of a bind. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been audited before. It's not a lot of fun. And so if you have good records, and you with your phone is a perfect example, actually, you can take pictures of receipts. You can store them that way. So on my phone, I have Google Photos. So every picture I take, it gets automatically uploaded to the cloud. So if I break my phone or lose it, I still have all my records somewhere so that I can get it from a computer, from somewhere else, to use all those write-offs. So backing up your receipts, some of them, they don't do it so much anymore. They used to do the thermal printing where it would fade after, yeah. Right. They don't do that as much anymore, but they still do, where if you take a picture of those or you make a carbon copy of those, they won't fade out, and you'll have that proof of documentation. A monthly accounting spreadsheet is highly recommended. It's a little bit hard, but if you have all of your receipts and everything else, monthly just makes it easy. Obviously you can do it yearly, and that's when everybody panics, and come tax time, they're like, oh my gosh, where are all my receipts? And so it's a little bit easier if you do it monthly. Some people are crazier than that, and I know people that do it every single night. So, but that's just, because if you think about it, you do it every night, it takes 5-10 minutes. Or if you do it once a month, it might take an hour. Or if you do it at the end of tax season, then you got to pay somebody. Okay? No worries. This will help with the self-employment taxes, because you'll be able to write off business expenses, stuff like that, and you'll have proof of it. So if the IRS says, I don't believe that you spent $100 at a business meeting at a nail salon, you can say, here's a receipt. So very good. And then the estimated taxes. So, paying quarterly, making sure that you're estimating properly so you don't give too much or take too little out, and it doesn't come as a surprise to your budget whenever times are ready. So very good. So record keeping gives you up-to-date earnings versus expenses. And so all the money you earn, you should be doing this the same way as all the expenses. You should be taking pictures, making sure you have proof that you got it. A lot of people, when it comes to cash, sometimes forget to take proof that they received cash. I don't know. It can get you in trouble, you know, if you have, oh, go ahead.
And would you suggest doing this from like a year ago, or would you suggest doing it from this point forward kind of thing?
Well, hi, how are you today?
Hello,
Sorry,
welcome.
No,
Yeah,
no worries, no
problem.
worries. You're in right in the nick of time. We're talking about bookkeeping, which is
The
arguably
key.
the most important part. So
Yes.
you're right at the right time. Very good. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
So my question was,
so taxes are for, your question was, should we start from now? Taxes go from, you know, January 1st till December 31st. So if you have those things, the receipts of your expenses and receipts of your earnings, and you haven't been doing diligent record keeping,
yeah.
the sooner you start, the better. Try to backtrack, get back to where you were at January 1st, and try to keep it in a folder or a locked filing cabinet, something like that. And if you take pictures, you can do it that way digitally, have everything as well. So you definitely don't want to ballpark it. You want to be as exact as possible. So if you can find those receipts from back to January 1st, obviously get them updated. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
You said something about taking the pictures
Mhm.
and putting it in the cloud.
Yes.
Okay, can that be organized into files?
Absolutely, absolutely. It just, like I said, some people, if we go back one slide, they do the monthly. You can do that the same way. Maybe it's not back there, so maybe I went too far. But yeah, so monthly you can organize those pictures. So the way my phone is set up, I take a picture, it just gets uploaded to a pictures folder.
Okay.
But I can access that from my desktop computer. And so when I log in there, then I manually move it to the monthly calendar, monthly folders, stuff like that. You can sort by date. It's whatever your personal preference is on how you organize things. Me individually, I have to have everything. My wife gets mad at me because I have 20 folders deep, you know, so it says
Down the rabbit hole.
yeah, exactly. And she's like, where is it? I'm like, it makes perfect sense. And she's like, I have no idea what you're doing. So, but it's how it goes sometimes. So, yes. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and the Google one is free, and it's unlimited space. And so some of these like Dropbox and other ones, they charge you after you hit a certain point.
Really?
And it's unlimited
Yeah, I
space.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, and you can access it from, like I said, from anywhere. So, my wife and I, we have 3 kids, and we take pictures. And as I said, with my folders, I try to organize them down by their names, by the activity, by all that sort of stuff.
I
And
like to do that.
yeah, and so I'll be over here sometimes working on things and updating our Facebook page. I'm like, man, I need that picture, and I know where to go and can find it. So it's actually really convenient. I love it. So my wife thinks I do too much Google stuff, but I love it very much. So, did I hit that last bullet point? I didn't even see. Learn how to use bookkeeping software. Yeah, so there's accounting software you can use. I put on here Liberty Accounting because Intuit is a rival of ours. They own TurboTax, but Intuit's bookkeeping is good bookkeeping as well. But if you're good with computers, you can use an Excel spreadsheet to do this stuff. And Google has a spreadsheet as well that you can use. So,
Yeah, and if you guys prefer, we could even consider putting together an Excel spreadsheet based
absolutely.
on our experience with clients on what's
Oh, that would be
best.
great.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
could send it over to you guys. Okay,
and we'll email
perfect.
you guys. Yeah,
We'll put that
absolutely.
together.
Perfect. Thanks. So, do you guys have any questions on anything up to this point? No? Okay, so qualified deductions. This is where people kind of get confused sometimes because they don't know all of the opportunities you have to write something off, what qualifies as a deduction. And in fact, we're dealing with some customers right now who think everything qualifies as a deduction. And we have to tell them, no, these receipts don't really count. And so one was, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word, but she works for Mary Kay. And she was trying to write off her vanity license plate. And I'm like, that doesn't, it's a good
Because
try.
that's personal.
It's a good try. Yeah, exactly. It's
That's
personal. It's not for business.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's, you know, but, excuse me, things that are qualified deductions. So that's a key word there, qualified. So qualified deductions are marketing and advertising that pertain to your business, your primary business being Avon, you know, any marketing and advertising that you guys do. depending on the demographic that you're looking for. You could do some marketing on Facebook that's strictly for, you know, if you have a page for your services. You can they call it boost. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but if you create an ad for your page, you can click the button that says boost, and then you can create a profile, and you can spend X amount of dollars per day, per week, per month. You can kind of target specific demographics. So you can say, we want women, we want this particular age group. So
That's either. I know you can do it, but I haven't done it.
I think it's a good idea. Now, it's not a flat, you know, everyone on Facebook who fits this demographic will get your advertisement. There's algorithms. And so it's a pretty small percentage of the people. The more you spend, obviously, the more people that it gets out to. But it is something that you can do, and it is a tax write-off. So that's really good. Meals and travel, as long as they're related to business. And so some people come in with receipts for every meal they had the whole entire year. And that doesn't work. So, yeah.
They're prospecting.
Exactly.
Everywhere I go,
Yes.
I leave a business card, I give a book to the
Oh.
waitress.
And that is a
So that
fantastic idea.
That is a good
Those are
idea.
expenses. So the business cards are business expense, but every meal that you have is not a business meal. And so, and it's not me making the rules or anything. It's, you know, the IRS.
So if I'm meeting with another representative
Then that
in
can
my
count.
downline, that
Yes.
would be a meal.
Yes.
Or if I'm meeting with a customer to give her stuff and we sit down to have lunch.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
But it can't be extravagant. It can't be Ruth's Chris every time.
Make it all huddle.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, exactly. So,
And is this where you have to put the person's name too on the receipt?
yes,
Of who-
well, yes,
okay.
absolutely. And just like I said, the bookkeeping.
Like the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the receipts, most of them show the name of the place, the date, the time, and their address and phone number, stuff like that. But make sure it's on the receipt and be diligent, write that stuff down. Thank you, Nora. I appreciate that. Health insurance, it's getting hairy with the Obamacare, the ACA, where you have to have health insurance. But if you use the money from your business for those, there's ways to work that where it is a business expense if you use the business money to pay for your insurance. So, or if you have people that help you with your business and you pay for their insurance, something like that. So, professional services. What's a good example of those? What did we talk about earlier? It
A
was,
consultant?
yeah.
or-
So if you guys hire consultants to help you find different marketing strategies, like using Facebook or something like that, those are business expenses because that's something geared towards making your business a better business. And so anything along those lines. Supplies, like we had talked about the business cards. That's a supply that you need and you use. You can write those off. The auto mileage. This is kind of tricky a little bit. Again, just like with the meals, you can't bring in every receipt for gas and say everything I did was for Avon this year. The IRS tends to not believe people when they say that.
My husband used to complain because everywhere we went,
Right?
I did Avon.
Yes,
So
yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
It could be
pretty
close.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if it is 100%, the IRS is going to say that seems kind of weird.
Yeah.
But if you can justify, you know, your percentages with receipts with people's names and things along those lines, then you're more likely, if you get audited and you have all this documentation, they're going to say, okay, I believe you. Does that make sense? So cell phone and service. Cell phone and service, obviously, if you're using your phone, you have a dedicated phone line for your business. I do. I have a dedicated phone line strictly for this. I also have another business where I give baseball lessons to young kids. I have a business line for that too. And so those can be written off. Home office space. This one's kind of tricky. That same lady with the vanity plates painted her house and wanted to write that off because she has a home office. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And so it's
A percentage.
it is a percentage. So the square footage of your house, and that room has to be a dedicated office. So you can't have a sleeper sofa in there and consider it a guest room and say, but I put a desk in there, so now it's my office. It's got to be truly your office. That's something that a lot of people don't realize as well. Now, if you're having a Thanksgiving party, a whole bunch of families over, and you need the space for some sleeping bags, I don't think anybody's gonna be too upset about that. But it's truly got to be your office, your primary office, or an office that you use primarily for business. So, go ahead.
I don't have a dedicated office, but I have a designated place
Area.
in my living room that,
Yes.
where I have my computer, my
So,
printer, my.
There are some exceptions, yes, absolutely. And you can use more than the square footage of your office if it's for storage. So,
Okay.
you know, if you have a whole bunch of boxes and you're leaving it in your dining room or wherever you guys leave those boxes. Yeah, or a bedroom, exactly, exactly. So you can, and so I would, in each individual case, recommend to reach out to your tax advisor and say, this is the situation I've got going on. What's the best way to deal with my situation? So there was one more bullet on the last slide I didn't see. Oh, office supplies. So yeah, we've talked about that with the business cards or, you know, pens or whatever if you need them for what you guys do. So very good. So advertising. This is, again, obviously it's a qualified deduction, but be creative with where you go. Some of them don't cost money, you know, so if you're on Facebook and you have a free page and all your friends are, you know, following you and say, hey, I got this, we're having a party next weekend, love to see everybody there. That doesn't cost any money, but some do. And so be smart. So if you're trying to target a specific age group, let's say for this one idea you guys have, put ads in that community. You know, if it's a senior living area, something like that, go ahead to that community, put them out there. You know, if it's the younger demographic, the one that's more able to use the internet, and try the Facebook that we were talking about earlier. So try to target it. Again, I love Google. So you got Google AdWords. If you do have your Facebook page, you can advertise outside of Facebook to get people that aren't your friends to see your Facebook page. You can market with Google, and anytime somebody clicks a link, it just gets forwarded to your Facebook page. So, and very good. So auto mileage, yeah, bus benches. I know everybody's seen those too. So, but auto mileage. So keep a notebook in your car. There's a couple ways to do this depending how digital you guys are. There's actually some apps for your phone that you can use every time you get in your car for business. So every time you get in your car, you can open up this phone app, type in the odometer reading, whatever your mileage is, and say, I'm going to start my drive now. Then when you get there, type in the odometer reading and say, I finished my drive now. Or you could do it the traditional way, which is what I do, and that's just a pencil and a notebook. And if you get audited and they say, I want to see some proof, if you have, hey, I've done this every day for 365 days, they're going to be less likely to question you on where you came up with the numbers. And so if you just say, hey, I drove 50,000 miles this year, they're going to say, prove it. And if you pull out a notebook or the digital app or whatever, say, I am proving it. And here's the receipts. This is what I did on this trip. This is what I did on that trip. Then you're in the clear. Did you have a question?
I was gonna ask, do you have to add those at the end of the year?
Yes and no. Yes and
Oh my
no.
God.
It's a general ballpark. So
okay.
those you can add individually, obviously, if you have the numbers and somebody's requesting specifically to do that. But you can do the monthly accounting where you add it every month if you wanted to. But at the end of the year, if you see in your car you've driven 12,000 miles and you're telling your tax advisor that you did 15,000 miles with business, then it's the numbers aren't matching. And so using the beginning of the year number and the end of the year number, you can subtract those out and see how much you drove for the year, and then go ahead and add through each month how much you drove that month, and you can see what percentage was for personal and what percentage was for business, and use that potentially as a tax write-off. So, all right. So home office deductions for 2015. So on or after January 15th, 2013, use the simplified options from the IRS. This allows qualified taxpayers to multiply prescribed rate by square footage. So we were talking about that earlier. So it's that percentage of the house. Significantly reduces the bookkeeping burden, and you can consult publication 587. I don't have one with me right now, but you can definitely find those things on irs.gov. So the home office is something that's nice. And I don't know if you guys know, it's not in these slides. You can write off building your home office one time. Obviously, you don't need new furniture, new computers, new carpet every year. But if you're going to buy a nice desk for your office, I mean, you can write off furnishing your office one time. So if you do it every year, the IRS is going to go, this looks kind of funky. So very good. So to qualify as a home office, it must be within your house, obviously your personal residence. So it can't be your neighbor's house. It's got to be your house. It has to be solely for the purpose of your business. That's what we were talking about earlier. It can't be a guest bedroom. Technically, it needs to be your home office. And one exception, we talked about this earlier, is the common areas may be used for storage. And I think the example you said was a bedroom. And so, yep, you can do that. You can do that. travel, meals, and entertainment. So to qualify, travel, meals, and entertainment expenses must involve your business. So that's what we were talking about before. So going to Ruth's Chris every night, I don't know that qualifies. Events, meals are directly related to the business purposes. So if it's travel, it's got to be travel for your business. Going to Disneyland and then saying, hey, but I had a meeting with my friend. That wasn't a business trip, right? So, but then with the meals that we were talking about, going to a non-extravagant, overly extravagant restaurant definitely would qualify if you did some business there. And keep in mind, it's only 50% of the meals and entertainment cost that's deductible. It's not the whole meal. So that catches some people off. They think the whole meal gets to be a write-off, and it's not. It's only about 50% of it. So.
With events, is that if you host an event too, or is that
Yes.
if you go to like an event and there's a registration fee?
Well, yeah, both.
Okay.
Both. And so if you host the event, then obviously you buy food or whatever, those things count. And then if you're going to an event and there's a registration fee and it's an event for your business, then you can write that off as well. So it has to be with the business. I'm not sure that you can write off that mileage though. I can research for you guys, but typically, let's say you work in an office like this. Driving from home to work is not mileage for business, but going from work to a meeting and back to work again, that's business mileage. And so it's how it's defined for what you guys do. So with what you do, if you don't have if you have a home base, then it could very well be
Dropping
mileage.
off orders.
Yeah, that could be
picking up
mileage if
orders.
you're going from your home office to your client. That's business mileage. So
Can you get them gift bags or something like that? Would that qualify? Like
yeah,
if you're
those are
dropping
business
off?
expenses,
Okay.
exactly. So any business gift bags that you guys buy, those are business expenses. So absolutely. So thank you.
What about like you have a rough raffle and you're raffling off something?
Yep.
That's considered too?
Yes. Any expense. So you got to buy those little raffle tickets, and I don't know how much they cost, $20 for a roll or something like that. Every little bit adds up, and it helps. It definitely helps. So, but you can't turn a profit on raffles. So that's gambling, and I don't think that that's allowed. So yeah.
No, I usually just give raffle tickets for them to
Yeah.
and raffle off of a
Right.
basket or a bundle or something like
That's
that.
a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
Or referral system, maybe if they,
Right, they give us a name or
yeah.
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, word of mouth advertising is free, and that's the best kind you can get. So very good. Yeah, next slide. So as we were talking, professional services or consultants. So if you did want to build a website, or if you didn't know how to do stuff on Facebook yourself, you can hire somebody to help you build your Facebook profile for you. But bookkeeping services, tax preparation, all those things can be write-offs. So if you did hire a tax professional to do your taxes last year, that could be, if you did your business taxes, it could be a business expense. If you hired one for your personal, if you itemize, then that could also be considered based on the percentage. Sometimes it's better to just do the standard deduction, but you can itemize tax preparation fees. So we were talking about earlier, the estimated taxes. So filing quarterly, it makes things a lot easier for everybody. What are the dates? I think in the next couple
Dates aren't in
slides.
here.
Yeah, there's dates for this, and you want to make sure to try to file this. Is this a practice that you guys all do right now, or do you guys try to just do it once a year?
I do it once a year.
Yeah.
Once a year. Does that get too complicated for you guys, or does that seem easy enough?
Mine seems to be okay.
It seems to be okay as long as you're diligent with the bookkeeping. Yeah, so for me, there's the dates right there. I try to do the quarterly, and it eases the burden. And so let's say you bring in $1 million this year for selling all your Avon stuff. You're probably gonna pay well over, what is it, 30%? So what is that, $300,000? And you gotta magically come up with that on April 15th. And so if you do it quarterly, it makes that a little bit easier to work out your budget. So, right here, it's got a star, unless that date falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or holiday. And that is happening this year, just so you guys know. So in Washington, D.C., they're celebrating a holiday. Forgive me, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a state holiday, even though it's not a state, but whatever. So April 15th is a Friday. So Saturday, they're not accepting taxes. Sunday is not last day. And then this is the 17th, and so the 18th is Monday. So for your federal taxes, you actually have till April 18th this year to get those turned in. But Arizona, doesn't have that same state holiday. So for state taxes, those have to be done by April 15th this year. Just a weird little quirk. But so, yeah.
Not federal,
What'd you say?
but not federal.
Federal is April 18th. State
Okay.
is April 15th. So interesting. So self-employment tax obligation is, the Social Security and Medicare, and those together equals the self-employment tax. And so that's the stuff that you guys are paying once a year. And that's where all those numbers come from. So very good. And so some of the things that we went over today is what the definition of self-employment is, right? It's where you're in charge of your life, and that's good, that's bad. I don't know, everybody's individual on that, but excuse me, you're responsible for your bookkeeping and accounting and your taxes and all your expenses, everything else. So that's where the good record keeping comes in, making sure with that good record keeping, you can make your tax payments. If you guys are okay with them once a year, then that's fine. I personally think it's a lot easier to do that quarterly estimated. And so that's what I try to do for my businesses, but I understand if you like it the other way. So making sure you're taking care of that full self-employment tax. So your estimates are just estimates. So at the end of the year, April 15th, what you have paid, they make the adjustments to what you truly do owe at the end. And then, using with those self-employment taxes, your qualified deductions, that's your tax burden at the end of the year. So hopefully you learn some ways to help ensure that you can minimize that tax burden when it comes tax time, and maybe figure a way to feel a little bit better. Instead of owing so much, you maybe even can get a little refund sometimes. So do you guys have any questions for me? Anything that I didn't necessarily hit on that I can maybe clarify for you guys?
Well, I have two parts of Avon.
Okay.
I do the sales,
Mhm.
and I also am a leadership representative, so I have people under me.
Right.
And so putting those two together, would they go together on your?
So are they both under your social security number, or did you get business tax IDs?
No.
So then, yeah, so then they're all together in one lump thing.
Oh.
And so is this the first year that you've done that, or has it been a while? Yeah. And so that's a tough one to tell you the best practice for that. I mean, it's individual. I don't know how you pay them. I don't know how all that goes down for you. But definitely consulting with someone would be in your best interest to kind of make sure that you're doing everything the right way, so your tax burden is diminished a little bit versus this is money I gave you. If you give them cash.
We don't do that.
Okay.
That's different.
Okay.
Avon pay, because they're just representatives. The people under me
Mhm.
are people that I've recruited,
Right.
and they go under me, and I earn a percentage of what they sell.
Oh, I gotcha.
Okay.
So very good.
So then
Very good.
I have to mix it together
Yes.
and then do my deductions
Right. Right.
off of both,
Exactly.
like what I made off of my sales and what I made off of my
The
leadership.
commission
And
leadership.
then,
Yeah.
and now leadership, I get a check every
Right.
2 weeks
Very nice.
for theirs.
So that's income.
That is
And-
income.
Yes. And so do you get a 1099 from Avon from those? Yes. So there you go. There you go. And so that 1099, you put it in, any expenses related to those are your expenses. So your business entity is basically you. And so when you do it as under your social security number, that's the sole proprietor. And so all the 1099s combined, along with all the income that you have made, and
The expenses for
everything.
handling all my people under me.
Yes, the
Like
bookkeeping
my
services.
sales meetings,
Yep.
my, whatever I do gifts
Yep.
type thing, I can subtract all of that from that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly.
I just want to make sure I'm doing it right.
Yes, no, exactly. Somebody knocking on your door after.
Yeah, right. Well, after 20 years, I hope not.
Exactly, exactly.
I was curious
Uh-huh.
in January about what I did with this in my taxes, my first year. I started last May.
Very nice.
Um,
So 2 rookies and 2 veterans.
I wrote an email to the customer service and said, am I gonna get something that says how much money I made, or is it
That's the
sales?
1099 that I talked to her about.
1099 doesn't tell you.
They told me because I was less than $10,000 in sales, that they would not be sending me a 1099.
That's possible.
So how do I
You would
claim
calculate it
the
yourself.
expenses when I don't have any?
So you have to calculate it yourself, basically.
Wow.
And so that's where the good bookkeeping comes in, where you know how much money you made this year, how much your expenses were this year. And they're not necessarily wrong. If you earn under a certain threshold, they don't have to give you that paperwork. And so,
Okay.
but you should do it yourself. I don't know if you have other income outside of Avon or not, but all of your income, even illegal income, needs to be on your tax return. I swear. And so I think it was Al Capone or something like that. He got put in jail. They couldn't prove he did anything wrong, but he never paid his taxes on his illegal income. So they put him in jail.
Oh
And
my
so,
gosh.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
Like, somebody's really gonna tell them they're doing illegal?
I know.
crazy. But you know, all my tax preparers were
No,
like, do you guys have any
self-incriminating.
additional income that we need to know about?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Alright.
So it's pretty funny, yes.
And we
Yes.
could consider making that Excel document too as a
Yes.
reference.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure you're maintaining your sales and the commission, and that's all up to you.
Mhm.
Okay, so,
Yes.
okay.
Exactly. So be diligent. Take more notes than you think you need to.
I have another question.
Sure. I love it.
On our invoices, it tells us earnings,
Right.
what we earned. Is that the part that we use to do the deductions?
Well, so that, again, it's an individualized answer. To me, deductions, I add up all of my deductions and I come up with one number. And so all my earnings, I add up all of my earnings and I come up with that number. And so then you have your earnings and that goes in one slot on the 1040. And you have your expenses and that goes in a different slot on the 1040. And so when all that's calculated out, well, one of the lines says subtract line, whatever number it is from the other line and write that number here. And so, so to answer your question, yes, but the wording is kind of funny. So deductions are deductions.
I thought
You know what I
that
mean?
earning, it says
Mhm.
these may be your earnings. 'Cause
Estimated
you-
earnings.
Right,
Yeah.
because you can charge whatever to people.
Oh, yes.
Well, actually, you can't. You have to charge them
Well, I
what's
know
in the
people
book.
do whatever they want to do, so.
Now,
But
that's
it
kind
does
of
say
illegal to do that.
Oh, my
It says
goodness.
Charging them more than
estimated
what's in the book.
earnings.
Yeah, but
Yes,
some people
like
charge them less.
Charging them
Right,
less,
or
but
by
that's a deduction.
sale
Because
on
if
the
you're,
book.
because if I have helpers
Mhm.
that take a book to work and they get orders for me,
Mhm.
then I give them a percentage.
Mhm.
So I'm not getting that full percentage. So that's what they mean by estimated. You're gonna end up, you may give part of that away.
That's
Right,
possible.
But you
Yeah, I don't
also
know.
might be buying extra stuff that you don't necessarily sell.
Well, if you don't sell it and you return it, then it automatically comes off. You don't have to worry about that because it will come off. Because they
See?
take it off of your sales, so at the end of the year, it's already off.
Yeah. Well, so you're learning. This is
I
good.
use
It's good
invoice
that
for
we
that.
That's okay. And so, yeah, so it's kind of silly, but the words in layman's term have a different meaning than the words in legal terms.
Right.
And so when we say deductions, there's a legal definition of deductions. And so logically speaking, what you're saying is absolutely right. And I'm just want to make sure I'm saying the legal words properly. So deductions are all of the things that we listed
Right.
added up equals one big lump sum for a deduction. And so when you say you can deduct that you didn't do all of that sort of stuff, you're right logically, but it doesn't count as a deduction on the 1040 is where I'm trying to make sure I want to articulate it clearly. So, yeah. So
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
if I would go back to all of my invoices from last year and add up the estimated earnings or awarded sales, because I got a paper from my leader that showed me what my estimated sales were, or what my sales were for last year, but is sales the same as earnings?
No, it's not. Your sales are everything you sell. That's your estimated sales. Your earnings is what you actually make off of those. So you would only go by what your estimated earnings were.
So back over here where it says sales, estimated earnings, and award sales.
Okay.
I would only total up all of the estimated earnings from my invoices.
That's what I'm
Yes.
asking him.
No, and that
that's what
does
he
make sense, yes. So
Because that's what I do.
Your sales, all of the money that you come in, minus all of the money that goes out, is the number that we're looking for.
Yeah, see, what I like about this one is the estimated earnings does not include tax, does not include any of that stuff, so you don't have to count that, because you're paying all that to Avon.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just what you would earn on your products that you sold.
Income minus outgo is what we're looking
Right.
for, so.
But you have to be careful when you're doing raffles and your gifts and stuff, because that's gotta be subtracted. You're not really earning that.
But if you take all of your earnings for the year,
Mhm.
right? You take all of your estimated earnings for the year, then you subtract what all of your, I do a spreadsheet. That spreadsheet
Great
has
idea.
everything that I've done, and I do it month by month.
Mhm.
So I will put in there, if I had a basket that I gave away, I put that amount in there, what it was worth. And then at the end, I add it all up at the bottom, and then that's what I subtract from my estimated earnings.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She's doing it exactly right.
Okay, good.
Yeah, exactly. And the monthly is, we talked about earlier, doing monthly is a great idea. It makes things easier.
Well, in the 37 years that I've been with Avon,
Uh-huh.
I have never had anybody in taxes tell us about what to do with Avon.
Right.
That's why I wanted to come here. I said, I want to
See?
see.
Well, I'm glad that we were able to
That's
help
right.
you, and hopefully I did give you some information that was helpful.
Well, actually, I'd rather have somebody else do it, so.
Yes. That's funny.
Yeah.
Too funny. Too
I
funny.
do have
So-
another question. though.
Sure.
Mileage.
Mhm.
Okay, so I deliver to people at my regular job that actually
Yes.
pays my bills.
Yes.
So how does my mileage count? Does it count from my house to my work, or is it from
No.
my work to the next building
It's from your
to the
work
next
to the
building?
next to the next. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I did last
Going
year.
to work doesn't count.
Okay, I didn't think so, so I
Right.
did not count that last year, but I
You
wanted
did
to
a good
make
job.
sure. How did it
I don't have to
actually
call the
work?
IRS on you.
No, I'm good.
Very
Okay.
good. Very good. Did you have a question? No? Does anybody have any?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
sure.
kind of goes towards the license plate one.
Yes.
So if we build onto a house
Mhm.
for office space,
Right.
can you write that off? If it's designated for an office?
I guess, yes, because you're allowed to one time, right? So if you do it and every year you're putting another 2,000 feet on your house for your office, like, I don't know that that works, but you can one time have that, I remodeled my office or I built this part in my office. So one time.
And then there's another one to that.
Yeah,
What if you move and you build another office?
so then yes, but you have depreciation that needs to get involved in there now, so it gets hairier, but yes. So, because it's a new home
That's when you
office.
need a professional.
Exactly. So, yes, very good. So, yeah, no more questions, you guys?
What about buying new, like my computer's gonna die. It's
Yes.
been on its
And
last full
It can't be shared.
Right,
Yes.
and I think there was a question on the taxes that asked you like what percentage you use for business.
Right.
So can
I personally would recommend a 100% business computer.
Okay.
That's,
Oh, that's what mine is. I don't
Yeah.
let anybody touch my.
exactly.
Because I had too much
homework,
important
so it's
stuff
gotta
in
be
there.
shared, but maybe
Right.
I can do like a tablet instead for work.
That's a great idea, or just one of the touch laptops. The Microsoft Surface has a really cool little computer that's touch capable.
Okay.
But if you're doing that, just outside of taxes, my
What about
computer
the
at home.
internet?
So that's, again, it's where it gets hairy. If you have a dedicated line for that business computer, then yes.
That's what I use it for.
Yeah, so then that's what it would need to be, and I'm not 100% sure how you would even prove if you don't use it for business or anything like that. But what I was going to say to you for the computer, this is what I do at home because I have a few computers and I have separate profiles set up for everything. So my business profiles, I have different ones. So when I'm working on my baseball stuff, I log in with my baseball user account, and when I'm doing my Liberty Tax stuff, I log in with that user profile. My wife has one, my kids have theirs, and they're all completely separated out because if one gets a virus, you don't want your whole computer to be down. Where if that one profile has a virus, you can temporarily just not open that particular profile while you take care of all the other stuff that you need and pack up the important documents, things like that, and then you're a little safer at least. And maybe you don't want, a young one playing with your business Excel bookkeeping
Right.
machine. So
Right.
you're like, $1 million.
Yeah,
What
$3
did you
million.
what did you
Where did zeros
do?
come from?
I don't remember just any
Oh, I
comments
put all
or
of my business expenses and everything I do
Mhm.
on my external hard drive,
Yes,
so that it
So-
will be separate too.
and that's a
that
good idea.
practice.
And then again, another best practice. This is why I like the cloud so much. If unfortunately, God forbid, anything bad happens, you have a fire, your computer and your external both go.
Right.
And so you need
See,
that.
I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know how to
Yes.
use the cloud. I've
Yeah.
never used that.
And so, yeah, just go to, the one I use is drive.google.com. And you can set that up, or photos.google.com. They both link together, but both of those websites definitely help with that. And, you know, all of my Liberty Tax stuff is on the cloud. My baseball stuff isn't, so I'm not even taking my own advice, but I don't do that too much with that anymore. But all the Liberty stuff is on the cloud. And so and you can share select folders with certain individuals. So you said you're a leader. You can have a folder that is shared. So the person that went out for you, they could take a picture of the receipt, upload it to that folder, and only you and them would have access to it. You know, here we have notes that we give each other. So every night we have an end of the day report that goes into one shared folder, so I can see what's going on if I'm not here. And I just think it's a great way to expedite the process. It makes you more efficient, being able to have everyone have access to the things that you want them to have access to, and including the IRS, right? So if you got all these pictures and they want proof, here's my folder. So it's very, very good practice. So yeah. Any other questions? No?
What do you charge to do taxes for Avon reps?
I've never had.
Reps.
Yes. I can't say I remember doing any for any Avon reps up to this
Really?
point. Really. We do have that one Mary Kay lady, and she's so funny. I love it. I love that she's trying. She's like, what if I do that? I think she put, because we have a piece of paper where we say, what do you want to itemize? She gets her fingernails done and her hair done and all. And I'm like,
Well, actually, that is a business
Yeah.
expense.
That's right,
Because
exactly.
you need it for your business.
that's right.
If your business is cosmetics.
You are your product.
That's exactly right. I buy
So-
clothes just for.
Yes and no.
Yeah, people do
Yes and
it.
no. So the legal, again, legal versus layman's, it's two different things. We had a guy that works at a car dealership, and they make him wear a collared shirt and nice pants. He tried to write that off as a uniform for work. It's not a uniform. If you can wear it to the mall, if you can wear it,
Right.
then it
Well,
unfortunately
we
isn't.
bought a jacket that
Mhm.
said Avon.
Right.
I mean, we ordered it from Avon, so
Right.
it was a jacket that said
Yes.
Avon. Now, that would be considered a business expense
It
because
could,
I'm not
yes.
gonna wear it anywhere else
Right.
except at a Avon meeting.
Exactly. But under the legal definition of uniform, that would be like scrubs. You know, doctors, I mean, I see doctors and nurses wearing their scrubs out sometimes. I just assume they didn't go
I mean,
home.
I can deduct these,
If
for my
it's for your
business.
work, yes. If it's for your work,
well,
yes.
actually, for my other work.
Yes,
Yeah.
you could.
Exactly.
So,
Okay.
so my wife is a nurse, and her birthday's coming up, and she was complaining that her shoes hurt her feet. So I'm like, well, let's get some nursing shoes.
Really nice
Yeah.
shoes. These are very comfortable. and
They're mesh though. They
They're
gotta be the,
It's gotta be the hard top.
yeah.
Mm.
So, and that's the problem. And I don't know why. Maybe you can explain. I don't know why nurses wear the slip-on shoes. I don't know why they do that.
Hmm.
Because they get the hard top, so any bad stuff doesn't get in there.
Right.
But the back is totally open. I don't know. I don't understand
That's true.
that.
That's true.
Very weird. So, very good. Do you guys have anything else that, any other questions I can help? In anything? Baseball secrets?
So to follow up this session, we'll send out that email
We
of
will.
a recorded session of this. We'll
Absolutely.
include those links for
Let me go ahead
drive.google,
and-
photos.google,
Who's this stuff?
and then we'll create those PDFs